I'm Emma, and I pretty much got healing in my veins. My folks are doctors, and so was my granddad. Carrying on the family tradition wasn't just expected, it was something I genuinely loved. I worked hard, stacking shifts, and saving every dime. My dream? A house of my own, a little sanctuary. After Granddad passed, he left me a decent chunk of change. Combined with my own stash, I finally had enough, $500,000. I bought a cozy place right next to the hospital where I work. It even had a lush lawn that made me smile every time I stepped outside. This particular Saturday, though, I wasn't in scrubs or reading patient charts. I was off duty, wandering through the local mall, enjoying a rare moment of leisure. With a large coffee in hand, my small indulgence, I meandered through the bustling crowd, lost in thoughts of whether I should buy that new book or a pair of shoes. As I turned the corner near the bookstore, I wasn't paying much attention and collided into someone. My coffee, a casualty of the bump, splashed across a stranger's shirt. "Shit, I'm so sorry," I exclaimed, stepping back. The man I'd bumped into was rubbing at his shirt, a grimace on his face. "No worries, but look at the mess," he said, his tone annoyed but calm. He was tall, with an easy manner, despite the coffee soaking his shirt. "I'm really sorry about that. Let me pay for the cleaning," I offered, feeling my cheeks heat up with embarrassment. He looked at me, then at his stained shirt, and laughed, a deep, hearty sound. "Guess this gives me a reason to stop working today. How about you help me find a place to get this cleaned?" Thankfully, there was a laundromat just around the corner from the mall. As we walked, we introduced ourselves. His name was Jake, and he was a real estate agent. Not exactly someone you'd expect to run into and spill coffee on at a mall. "So, Emma, you always go around baptizing strangers with coffee, or am I special?" he joked as we reached the laundromat. "Only the special ones," I retorted, rolling my eyes but smiling. "Seriously though, I can be a bit of a klutz. And today, you're the unlucky victim." As his shirt spun in the washing machine, we grabbed a bite at a nearby cafe. Jake was easy to talk to, and time flew by as we chatted about everything from our jobs to our favorite TV shows. Turned out, we both had a soft spot for old sitcoms and spicy food. "You know, I never thought my day would turn this way," Jake said, looking more amused than anyone should be in a laundrette. "Definitely beats my usual paperwork. Plus, this is more refreshing." When his shirt was finally clean, I insisted on paying. It seemed only fair since I was the one who'd ruined it in the first place. "Thanks for handling the mess so gracefully," I said as we left the laundromat. "No problem. I should be thanking you. It's not every day I get treated to coffee and laundry. Let's exchange numbers. I owe you a coffee now, one that hopefully stays in the cup," Jake said with a chuckle. After that fateful day at the laundromat, Jake and I started seeing more of each other. He'd show up at my place after a long shift with takeout, or I'd find a spare hour in my hectic schedule to swing by one of his house showings, just to say hi. Our relationship wasn't just built on the fun times, we dealt with plenty of mundane stuff, too. Like that Saturday morning when we tried to assemble a piece of furniture for my house. It was supposed to be a simple job, but it turned into a comedy of errors. "Who designed this thing? A sadist?" I muttered, staring at the incomprehensible instructions. We had screws everywhere and it still looked nothing like the picture on the box. Jake was laughing, holding up a piece of wood that looked entirely superfluous. "I think it's supposed to be a shelf, not a weapon. But who knows at this point?" Hours later, with the shelf finally assembled, though wobblier than I liked, we collapsed on the sofa, sweaty and satisfied. "We make a good team, huh?" I said, nudging him with my elbow. "Best team ever," he agreed, pulling me closer. It was moments like this, not the romantic dinners or the grand gestures, that made me fall deeper in love with him. Then, 3 months after our first meeting, Jake decided to up the ante in the most unexpected way. He had invited me for a picnic in the park, nothing out of the ordinary. But that day, the air felt different, charged with a nervous energy that I couldn't quite place. We spread out our blanket under the oak trees, the sunlight dappling through the leaves and onto our spread of cheese, crackers, and fruit. Jake was fussier than usual, arranging and then rearranging the food, which was unlike him. "What's up with you today? You're acting weird," I said, eyeing him as I bit into a strawberry. He looked at me, his eyes serious. "I've been thinking a lot about us, about how good we are together." I smiled, reaching for his hand. "Yeah, we are pretty amazing, aren't we?" Jake took a deep breath, and then he was on one knee on the blanket, a small velvet box in his hand. My heart stopped. "Emma, I love you. I love how real you are, how you make me laugh, and how you care so deeply about your patients. I want to be with you, for the long haul. Will you marry me?" I blinked, surprised, overwhelmed, and utterly in love. "Yes, of course, yes." The rest of the afternoon was a blur of excitement and future plans. We talked about what kind of wedding we wanted, nothing too big, something that felt like us. "Ready to start this crazy adventure with me?" Jake asked, as he took my hand and squeezed it. "With you? Always," I said, knowing that whatever life threw our way, we'd handle it together, just like that damned shelf, maybe a bit wonky, but standing strong nonetheless. Jake and I had settled into a comfortable routine in our little house with the great lawn that I loved so much. It was ours, or so I thought, until the day Jake's parents decided to come back from their long stay on some exotic island. I had heard a lot about them, but hadn't met them until they decided to move back, just in time for our wedding. The day they arrived, I was a bundle of nerves. I wanted to make a good first impression. I was in the kitchen, trying to cook something that smelled like I knew what I was doing, when Jake yelled that they were here. "Emma, they're here," he called out as I heard the front door open. I wiped my hands on a towel and walked into the living room. His parents, Marta and Henry, looked like they had just stepped out of a travel magazine, all tanned and exotic looking. "Mom, Dad, this is Emma," Jake introduced, and I reached out to shake their hands. "Nice to finally meet you both," I said with a smile that was probably too stiff. "Look at her, Henry. Isn't she just the sweetest?" Marta exclaimed, wrapping me in a surprisingly strong hug. "We've heard so much about you." "Yeah, welcome to the family, Emma. We're so glad to have you," Henry added, his smile genuine, but his eyes scanning our living room like he was appraising the place. The first few days were a whirlwind. They were polite and charming during the wedding, and everything seemed perfect. But once the last of the wedding guests had left, and life was supposed to return to normal, Marta and Henry showed their true colors. It started with small comments here and there. Marta would come into the kitchen while I was cooking and say things like, "Oh dear, are you sure you want to use that much salt?" Or, "In our house, we usually cook the meat a little longer." I tried to brush it off as them just being helpful, but it wasn't long before Henry joined in. "You know, in the real estate business, we do things a bit more strategically," he'd start, eyeing the way I arranged the living room. It came to a head one afternoon when Marta decided to rearrange my kitchen. I walked in to find her emptying my spice cabinet. "What are you doing?" I asked, trying to keep my voice even. "Oh, just helping you organize things a bit better. You'll thank me later," she replied, not even looking up. I felt my frustration boiling over. Actually, I liked my kitchen the way it was. It worked for me, I said, a bit more sharply than I intended. Marta paused, a jar of turmeric in her hand, and looked at me like she couldn't decide if I was being serious or not. "Well, I'm just trying to help," she finally said, her tone indicating that she thought her help was necessary. "Thanks, but I'll manage," I replied, taking the jar from her and putting it back in its place. A couple of weeks after Jake's parents moved back, things hadn't improved much. I was still grappling with Marta's incessant need to manage our household. It was a Tuesday evening when Marta dropped the bombshell about the party she wanted to throw at our place that weekend. "Emma, dear, I was thinking," Marta began as she sipped her tea, eyeing me across the kitchen table. "Your lovely lawn would be the perfect spot for a little get-together with my friends." "A party? Here?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral, despite the dread filling my stomach. Yes, just a small gathering. I've already told them about this wonderful house, she said, smiling as if she had just given me great news. I glanced at Jake, hoping he'd say something, but he just frowned, clearly caught off guard. Mom, don't you think you should have asked us first? He finally said. Marta waved him off. Oh, it's nothing big. Just a few friends. Emma won't mind, will you, dear? The way she put me on the spot, her friends already invited, it felt like I had no real choice. I guess it's fine, I said reluctantly, feeling Jake's sympathetic glance. Saturday came much too quickly for my liking. I spent the morning preparing snacks, trying to make everything perfect so Marta wouldn't have more to critique. By the time the guests began arriving, I was already exhausted. Emma, darling, these are my friends. Marta introduced me as if she was the hostess of the house. And isn't this garden just divine? Jake and I are so pleased with it. I forced a smile, biting back my frustration. Nice to meet all of you, I managed, serving trays of appetizers. The afternoon dragged on with Marta parading around, showing off the house. I overheard one of her friends say, Marta, you've done a wonderful job with this place. It looks splendid. Thank you, dear. It's all about having the right touch, Marta replied, basking in the praise. I retreated to the kitchen to escape the crowd, but even there, I wasn't free from Marta's orders. Emma, we're running low on punch. And do bring out more of those delightful canapes, she called out as if I were staff at her event. I complied, refilling drinks and bringing out more food, all the while feeling more like a caterer in my own home than the lady of the house. After the guests left, I was left with a mess to clean and a simmering anger that I could no longer ignore. Jake found me in the kitchen, scrubbing away at a stubborn stain on the counter. Hey, you okay? He asked, his brow creased with concern. Do I look okay? Your mom took over our house like it was hers, and I was just some sort of maid. This isn't what I signed up for, Jake, I said, my voice rising with every word. Jake nodded, looking as defeated as I felt. I'll fix this, Emma. I promise, he said, but as I looked around at the chaos, the remnants of an unwanted party, I wasn't so sure anything could be easily fixed. This was more than just an overbearing mother-in-law, it was about standing my ground in my own home. As the last guest left, Marta cornered me in the kitchen with a self-satisfied smile. Emma, everyone loved the party. We're making it a regular thing, every Saturday right here, she announced, as if she were bestowing a great honor upon me. I felt a protest bubble up in my throat, but before I could voice it, the week flew by, and suddenly, it was Saturday again. True to her word, Marta and her entourage descended on our house once more. This time, her behavior escalated quickly from imposing to outright domineering. As I served dishes and refilled drinks, Marta held court among her friends in the living room. Yes, this house is Jake's. We're just so lucky he found such a accommodating partner, she said loudly, glancing sideways at me with a smirk. I clenched my jaw and continued serving, deciding it was better to keep the peace for the moment. However, the real explosion came after her friends had left. I was clearing up when Marta sauntered into the kitchen, her mood clearly sour despite the successful gathering. I noticed you weren't very cheerful today, Emma. A good hostess knows how to put on a happy face, she snapped. I'd had enough. Marta, this is my home. I'm not just putting on anything. This isn't what I want every Saturday. Her face darkened, and her pleasant facade crumbled. Your home? You're here because my son allows it. Don't get too comfortable. Her words were like a slap in the face. I'm his wife, Marta, and the owner of this house. Not some tenant you can threaten. Marta's response was swift and harsh. She grabbed a decorative vase and threw it against the wall where it shattered. If you don't fall in line, I'll make sure you're out on your own. I can make things very difficult for you, Emma. Remember, I can influence Jake more than you might think. The room went silent except for the echo of the vase breaking. I stood, shocked and furious, as she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. That evening, when Jake came home, I recounted everything. The threats, the broken vase, her plans to take over our weekends, and her dismissing me as if I were nothing. He immediately called Marta, trying to reason with her. "Mom, you can't treat Emma like that. It's her home." But Marta was unyielding. "I'll decide what's appropriate, not you. You and your wife need to learn some respect," she declared before hanging up. The following Saturday, as if to assert her dominance, Marta was back again with her friends, more demanding than ever. "Emma, let's have the appetizers out on the double, and make sure the drinks are chilled this time," she instructed, as if I were an inexperienced server in her employ. The next morning, over coffee, I looked across the table at Jake, who was rubbing the sleep from his eyes, unaware of the bombshell I was about to drop. "Jake, I can't do this anymore," I started, the words tumbling out in a rush. "I want a divorce." Jake froze, his cup midway to his lips. "What? Emma, are you serious?" I gave him a small smile, one that I hoped would convey my underlying plan. "It's going to be a fake divorce, just for show, so your mom backs off." He put his cup down, confusion etched across his face. "Fake? How would that even work?" "We get a divorce, but continue seeing each other secretly. It'll be like a guest marriage. Your mom won't know we're still together." I know it sounds crazy, but I can't see any other way. She's taking over our lives, Jake. We have to do something drastic to make her stop. After a long, heavy pause, Jake nodded slowly. "Okay, let's do it. If it's the only way to get some peace, I'm in." We spent the next few days figuring out the logistics, consulting with a lawyer to draw up papers that looked legitimate. It was bizarre, planning your own fake divorce, but if it meant getting Marta off our backs, it was worth it. The following Saturday, right on cue, Marta and her entourage showed up at our doorstep for their usual takeover. I was ready for them. Opening the door, I stepped outside, closing it firmly behind me to block their entry. "Marta, what can I help you with?" I asked, my tone polite but firm, as I met her in the driveway. "We're here for breakfast." "Let's get inside, everyone's starving," Marta commanded, gesturing toward the door expectantly. I stood my ground, shaking my head. "This isn't a restaurant, Marta. I'm not obligated to feed you or your friends." Marta's mouth dropped open, her eyes widening in shock. "How can you say that? I'm like a mother to you. You're supposed to please me." I listened, keeping my expression neutral as she ranted. When she finally paused for breath, I took my opportunity to drop the bomb. "Marta, I've divorced Jake. As far as I'm concerned, you're a stranger now." The silence that followed was deafening. Whispers swirled among the gathered friends as Marta processed what I had just said. With a shaky hand, she pulled out her phone and dialed Jake. "Jake, tell me she's joking," Marta demanded into the phone, her voice loud enough for me to hear. On the other end, Jake confirmed our story. "It's true, Mom. Emma and I are divorced. She's not obliged to host you anymore." I watched as Marta's face crumpled, confusion and anger battling for dominance. Without another word, I turned and walked back into my house, locking the door behind me. "You are no longer welcome here, Marta. This is my house, and I will not allow such disrespect," I said through the closed door. Marta and her friends remained in the driveway, too shocked to move, whispering frantically amongst themselves. Eventually, they left, and the quiet that settled over the house was the sweetest sound I'd heard in months. It was weird, sneaking around with my own husband, but also exhilarating in a way neither of us expected. We'd meet up at little cafes, the park, or at a friend's place who was in on the secret. Each clandestine date felt like a small victory. One sunny afternoon, I met Jake at a small cafe tucked away from our usual spots, ensuring privacy. As I spotted him at the back table, a wave of affection washed over me. "Hey, you," I greeted him, sliding into the chair across from him. Jake grinned, reaching over to take my hand. "Hey yourself. It feels like we're teenagers again, sneaking around like this." I squeezed his hand, smiling. It does, doesn't it? But I don't mind. It's kind of fun, and honestly, it's nice to have a break from all the drama. We ordered our coffee, and as we waited, Jake's expression turned serious. I miss living with you, waking up next to you every morning. It's not enough anymore. I felt a pang in my heart, the temporary nature of our arrangement suddenly feeling too constricting. What do you suggest? Let's buy a new house, somewhere Marta doesn't know about. We can start fresh, really make it ours without any interference. What do you think? The idea sparked a new kind of excitement in me. I love that idea. Let's do it. Let's find our perfect place, just for us. Over the next few months, we pored over listings and visited countless houses. It was during one of these visits that I realized how much I had missed just doing normal things with Jake. As we walked through a beautiful 2-story house with a sprawling garden, I could see us building a life there. We made an offer on the house, and to our delight, it was accepted. The process of making it our own was thrilling. We picked out furniture, painted walls, and slowly, the house began to feel like a home that Marta didn't know existed. The day we moved in, the feeling of freedom was palpable. To new beginnings, Jake toasted, lifting a glass of wine in our empty yet promising living room. To us, I echoed, clinking my glass with his. That night, we lay together in our new bedroom, the moonlight spilling through the open window. We did it, Emma. We really did it, Jake murmured, his voice filled with wonder. We did, I agreed, my heart full. And we did it together. That's what makes this so special. From then on, life took on a peaceful pace. We settled into our new routine, enjoying the solitude and the liberty of living without the looming threat of interference. It was like we had been holding our breath for so long, and now, finally, we could breathe easily. The final clearing of our old house was supposed to be simple. Jake and I thought we'd pack the last of our stuff, say goodbye to the place, and quietly slide into our new life. But as we pulled up, there they were, Marta and Henry, as if they knew that we were going to show up. Their faces lit up when they saw us, particularly Marta, who clapped her hands together as if she had just won a prize. Oh, there you are. We were wondering when we'd see you two again. We're just here to pick up a few last things, I explained, keeping my tone neutral as we approached. Marta's eyes darted around the boxes and furniture being moved. So, why all the packing? What's happening? I hesitated, but Jake jumped in. Emma bought a new house. We're moving. Oh, wonderful, Marta exclaimed, her gears visibly turning. Then I can use this place for my gatherings. Imagine, all my friends will love it here. Her excitement was palpable, but Jake was quick to cut it short. Actually, Mom, this house is sold. We're not keeping it. And we won't be disclosing where we're moving. Marta's smile faltered, confusion and annoyance mingling on her face. But why? We're family. Jake took my hand, his grip firm and supportive. Because, Mom, what happened before can't happen again. I'm sorry for not stepping up sooner, he continued, turning to me. His eyes were filled with a mix of regret and determination. Emma, I'm sorry. I should have done this long ago. He leaned down, kissed my hands gently, and looked back up at me with clear, unwavering love. I love you more than anything. You are my priority. Marta looked as if she might explode with indignation. Jake, you can't do this. She's manipulating you. No, Mom. I'm choosing my wife over the chaos. It's my decision. Perhaps you and Dad should consider traveling again. It might give everyone some space, Jake interjected before she could continue her tirade. Marta's mouth snapped shut, her eyes darting from Jake to me, and then to Henry, who had remained silent, his expression one of resignation and perhaps understanding. As we drove away, I could see Marta in the rearview mirror, standing motionless in the parking lot, her figure rigid with disbelief and anger. In the following months, Marta tried a few times to discover where we lived, each attempt met with a firm disconnect as soon as she broached the subject. Eventually, those calls stopped. Friends told us Marta and Henry had returned to their beloved exotic resort, resuming their adventurous lifestyle. Jake and I settled into our new home, our sanctuary. Here, we healed, we built, and we loved, free from the overbearing shadow of Marta's influence.